I'm Marina Kim with the latest news from Kazakhstan. The silent rally in the Astana's Bayterek Square ended with brutal arrests. 10 members of the unregistered party Alga, carrying blank posters and protesting against the law on the leader of nation, were seized by the Special Force Police Unit. Find out more from the next report.
Your actions are illegal according to the article on the public gatherings. This is an unsanctioned rally. I ask you to immediately suspend the campaign, as otherwise you will be charged according to the Article 355. Let's put the posters away. We'll put you away as well.
The arrested were escorted to a red police bus parked at the Bayterek Square since morning. The police have thoroughly prepared for this rally as law enforcement body representatives, including prosecutors and even Special Forces unit officers, arrived here long before the Alga activists. The detainment was conducted swiftly and the police demonstrated its high tactical efficiency. After 3 hours of detention, the activists were released. The disciplinary work amongst the arrested was conducted by the National Security Committee people, says Danil Nasenko.
I don't even know what to call it, but in the beginning they attempted to come down on me, although later the conversation got more or less calm.
The members of the unregistered party Alga claimed their arrest was illegal, just as the one held on May 8th. Then the activists were fined for $3,000 just for the distribution of the St. George ribbons at the Bayterek Square.
The silent protest campaign was not limited to the capital and was actually held all across Kazakhstan, with citizens entering city streets, squares and parks holding empty posters.
These people went to the streets to be silent. The national protest campaign against the law on the leader of nation found support in all regional centers of Kazakhstan. At 11 a.m. Astana time, people in various parts of the country went outside holding blank posters. In Pavlodar, 5 activists commemorating the democracy gathered in front of the city mayor's office, and local officials seemed not to enjoy the action, hinting it's not appropriate to appear on public with blank papers. They, however, failed to specify which laws prohibit protests like this.
Even if people want to gather together and stand silently, they need a 10-day prior approval, just like any rally or campaign.
Protesters in Ust-Kamenogorsk gathered in the square just in front of the regional administration office. The police, however, were already present at the scene. Officers seemed to be interested in interviews the action participants gave to reporters.
The information access is really bad in Kazakhstan these days. Many national and international portals were blocked. The signal of K+ channel is jammed. In other words, it is becoming almost impossible to publicize your actions here.
In southern Kazakhstan, the protest took place in Central Park of Shymkent, with 10 activists rallying in front of the Glory Memorial. This spot was not picked coincidentally, say organizers, as it is just near the Museum of the Political Repression's victims.
There's no justice in Kazakhstan whatsoever. There's no democracy, no freedom of speech and no free media. We can't even write anything anymore. The blank posters symbolize all of the rights we were deprived. We're like slaves in our own country.
The national silent rally lasted for no longer than 10 minutes. This time there were no extreme measures taken by the police, which did not confiscate posters or arrest activists. After all, it's hard to charge people for being silent.
Kazakh journalists are trying to achieve the legal abolition of the law on the leader of nation. Jana Baytelova is suing Karim Masimov, Kasim-Jomart Tokayev and Ural Muhamedjanov, seeking to repeal the controversial law that they have approved. Baytelova contends it is clearly spelled out in the law that it comes into force only after the president signs it. The prime minister had no right to sign the document. Besides, the issue should have been the matter of a national referendum in the first place.
The reporter says the authorities enacted a law which didn't come into force. In her lawsuit, Jana Baytelova demands to immediately recall the law on the leader of nation and publicize the news in mass media, since the president has publicly declined to sign the bill. The reporter plans to submit her action to a district court on Friday. 30 other citizens of Kazakhstan intend to do the same in Almaty, Ust-Kamenogorsk and Taras. The law itself is discriminatory. It's terrible that he and his entire family become inviolable. In general, I believe that it is high time to sue for treason here. This was the only charge allowed to be brought against the president by the constitution, while I believe there were enough grounds for this charge accumulated during his rule.
Residents of Akbulak neighborhood of Almaty issued an ultimatum to the authorities. They demand the city officials to solve their problems, including the uninterrupted electricity, water and gas supply.
About 50 residents of the Akbulak settlement in the outskirts of Almaty spontaneously organized a meeting as they did not receive any response from the authorities to their numerous appeals with municipal improvement demands.
Наш Аким выступал несколько раз по телевизору.
Our administrator has spoken on TV several times, and we even managed to reach him on the show. We told him about our problems, but it seems he simply ignored it.
Не знаю, пожал, наверное, плечами и все, я не знаю.
Resided by some 7,000 people, the Akbulak district has become a part of Almaty metropolitan area just recently. However, the micro-district has a limited access to drinking water, which the residents say is of very poor quality. No roads were built in the area, and during the rainy season, local passes become very muddy. The electricity is supplied with frequent interruptions, and there is no natural gas. Residents have tried hard to talk to the gas distribution enterprise, but so far there is no response. Meanwhile, the head of the Alatau district in charge of this territory does not seem to share the residents' pessimism.
We've just worked on our budget for the next year, and it includes provisions for the installation of gas pipes. Also, we have already completing laying water access infrastructure.
More than $35 million were allocated for municipal improvement of the Alatau district in 2010. All the rally participants know this fact well, and therefore they can't understand why the funds did not reach their settlement so far. The authorities, however, do not seem to rushing with a response, while the residents say they will keep rallying.
Public activist Aidol Sadikov could now face 5 years of imprisonment for hooliganism actions resulted in light bodily harm. The prosecution asked to increase the possible sentence right after Sadikov filed 2 appeals against the police who arrested him.
As stated in the indictment, Sadikov committed hooliganism for a desire to oppose others, showing contempt for society and morality. On May 27, Sadikov, the leader of the Gastat movement, allegedly beat a passerby. The activist says the accusations are nothing but a political provocation. He claims that the police have beaten him up and wanted to plant a stolen mobile phone in his pocket. This was avoided by the timely arrival of journalists and medics.
The investigation didn't fully consider the results of the comportment and the testimonies of other witnesses. The video which we made available was also not included in the case, apparently because it completely refutes their fabrications.
Exactly 6 months have passed since Kazakhstan became the chair of the OSCE. At the same time, experts believe it is too early to count political dividends, especially since the Democratic Development Index of the OSCE chair does not correspond to the organization's requirements.
The OSCE summit will not be held in Kazakhstan after all. This is how the West has finally expressed its attitude towards the current chair of the organization. Kazakh journalist Andrei Sviridov has quoted an address of Ian Kelly, the US representative in the OSCE, who sent a diplomatic message to the Vice Minister of Kazakh Foreign Affairs Ministry, Konstantin Zhigalov, several days ago.
There were no signs of improvement in 2009 during the preparation for the chairmanship, nor in the last 6 months. Moreover, only the deterioration is observed. Perhaps the situation looked differently from abroad, but now it seems that the EU and Washington have finally caught up and are openly stating their opinion.
Lawyer Sergei Utkin is confident that the judgment day is not here just yet. The hampering with peaceful rallies, anti-democratic laws, blocking of websites and pressuring of the mass media, this is all still happening in Almaty.
There is a catastrophic rise of unfair sentences towards public activists like Zhovtis, Jakishev and Yesergepov, while all of this is happening during our chairmanship in the OSCE.
It seems that in the last 6 months the OSCE chair has come up with many good deeds, although it's unclear if they will go unpunished. Political scientists, though, believe that Kazakhstan could end up reaping quite undiplomatic fruits of its labor.
Kazakhstan could not have come up with a better insult to Armenia than to invite Turkey to the resolution of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict.
The analyst is confident that loud statements of Astana about the settlement of long-standing conflicts are just a seasonal limitation of political activity. Soon, though, the year of Kazakhstan's chairmanship will end, and peak of this pseudo-activity should go down as well.